Hey, this is Scott Docherty from vengersdecks.com. Hope you're doing okay. So this is just a little random encounter from an old campaign that I used to run that's going to feature in the upcoming encounter deck, the Dweller, which is going to be full of encounters suitable in any system, mainly for urban settings. So this is something you can introduce if the adventuring party is in a marketplace or a tavern. Anywhere you think it might work, basically. And the idea is that the party will be invited or challenged to take part in this game, or one of the characters in the party might know it already and you can pass the rules to them in advance. But this is a good way of introducing NPCs or quests, basically around a simple game that could be played across the whole of your setting. The game's called Limbo. And here is the excerpt for it that was part of the setting guide that I wrote a few years ago for the campaign. So, as I say, it's called Limbo, although to the elven populace it could be known as Priest. It's been played in the setting for a number of generations in taverns, homes around the wilderness, campfires, prisons, even within the huge city amphitheatres where forfeits range anywhere from coin to town ownership. Limbo passes the time and entertains thousands. Dice are collected and traded. Drinking games and embarrassing stories unfurl around it, and those raised in life to turn up their noses at such tawdry, delinquent tomfoolery can look forward to a future bereft of one of the most collaboratively fulfilling bonding pastimes in all the land. So the premise is that this is a game of 2 players. Each player takes a turn rolling 2 d20s. The loser is the first to 202 or 101 for shorter games or those with more forfeits in each turn. It's customary for the players to use 1 die of his or her own and 1 of the other player. However, if one player needs to borrow both die, this is acceptable provided that the player reflects the trust of the other's die in some way, for example by buying the other an extra drink or providing a service. Crucially, the forfeit for losing the game or any turn must be agreed upon before the roll is taken. To avoid doubt, it's helpful for the agreement to be stated out loud by both the players, witnessed or recorded in writing if thought necessary. It's considered an insult if once a game begins, one player doesn't continue, and commonly this forms part of the design of the agreed upon forfeit. For example, the same forfeit may apply on either loss or refusal to continue. So let's get back up to the top here. So there's 2 different kinds of rules you can play depending on the situation you're in. You've got tavern rules and arcane rules. The tavern rules are fairly simple. 2 d20s are rolled. If neither shows a 1, their sum is added to the turn total. The player has a choice to roll again or to hold by calling Limbo, in which case the other player's turn begins. If a single 1 is rolled, the player scores double the dice total and the turn ends. If 2 1s are rolled, 20 is deducted from the other player's current score, 0 being the minimum, and the turn ends. If any other double is rolled, the point total is added to the turn total as with any roll, but the player is obliged to roll again. First to 202, or as I say, 101 loses, and the previously agreed forfeit is crystallised, ending the game once carried out. So it's you can find that being played in taverns across the land, for example, and or kind of like in the marketplace where people are trying to cheat you and that kind of idea. The arcane rules are a bit more detailed, and the same rules apply though with following exceptions, where 2 casters practiced in the arcane acts are playing with enchanted dice. It's believed that, I mentioned this in the campaign that I used to run, but you can adapt this to your own campaign. But as I said, that it's believed that the arcane rules predate the more basic tavern rules. Indeed, it's thought that the arcane version of Limbo developed in ancient times, well out with Meritor, which is something that happened in my campaign, or some believe perhaps on another plane of existence altogether. This version is understood to be played only by arcane casters, and as such, its practice lies deep underground, hidden as best it can from those in authority. An invitation to begin or continue the arcane version of Limbo begins with a polite request. Shall we roll? The duellum is something I created. So at the outset of this game version, having reached agreement on the ultimate forfeit, both casters cast a common spell known as a duellum. 1 dice from each player is used. Each caster needs to be attuned to his or her die. Once the duellum is cast, 3 things happen. First, the 2 dice rise and bond, their colours mixing with each other for the duration of the game, before returning to the table. Therefore, if a set is, you ever find a set noted to contain at any time 2 different colours and patterns, it can be supposed that the holder remains engaged in at least one other game. Second thing is the 2 players are then locked in. And by locked in, this means that neither player can stop playing the game until it's completed, and neither player can assign to another his or her part in the game. The game is capable of being paused in limbo in between turns. This means that one game can last any period between minutes and years. Commonly, the higher the forfeit, the longer the period over which the game will be played. And the third of all, for the duration of the spell, the players are unable to cheat rolls or in any way escape the pure randomness of the game. And here's where it gets juicy. The duellum's forfeit. If one player doesn't accept the other player's invitation to continue an ongoing game, or to do so, he or she will be expected to speak the words, "I am forever in limbo." The duellum spell, still upon them at the very least, will remove them immediately from the material plane, and beyond that will bring upon the now banished player 1 forfeit of its own creation. Also, the death of one or both players will not bring about the end of the game, the souls of the dead remaining bound and unable to rest in peace until that fateful number is reached. So in terms of how you actually play the arcane version of it, there's arcane turns, and the same rules apply, as I said, with the tavern rules, but with enchanting additions. If a single 1 is rolled, the player is at the mercy of the other player for 1 day. He or she must obey 1 command by the other player. The command must be communicated to the other player within 24 hours of the end of that turn, failing which the opportunity is lost, and must be reasonably capable of being obeyed within the same period of 24 hours. This has created a lot of fun, and I'm sure you'll have a great time with it. The command quite clearly cannot incite death. If the command isn't obeyed, whether by decision, negligence, or willful recklessness, he or she will suffer the duellum's forfeits, which we've talked about. If 2 1s are rolled, the same mercy forfeit applies, but extended this time to 20 days. The player of command rolls a d20, a minimum of 1, to confirm how many commands can be made in that period. Again, all commands must be communicated and reasonably capable of being obeyed within the same period, with the same consequences arising for failure to obey. If any other double is rolled, for 24 hours from the end of that turn, the player is unable to cast any spells. The duellum spell and the game ends only once the ultimate previously agreed game forfeit has been completed. It may go without saying, therefore, that if the ultimate forfeit is not complied with, the duellum's forfeit will step in. So I've added a kind of warning at the end of this, basically, that having all this in mind, a player weighing up an invitation to play this game, whether such invitation is given or received, must accept that there lies the potential of significant risk and peril. Even losing your dice whilst the game is ongoing can leave your very existence in the world precarious. It's a dangerous game at all levels, played sagely by tricksters and darkened casters across the land, all with their own designs and intents out with the game itself. For the sake of bad luck or a few poor rolls, can embroil innocent souls unwittingly in some unfortunate events indeed. Roll well and roll true. So there you go. That is Limbo. If you like this, be sure to keep your eyes peeled for the Dweller and the Dweller Quickening decks of encounters on vengersdecks.com. But until then, thanks for watching and have a great day.